What's going on, everybody? Movie review coming at you right now, and today we're going to be reviewing the long-awaited Terminator Dark Fate. Now, I honestly was super excited for this movie because San Diego Comic Con, when I was mapping out my schedule, the press schedule, all that other good stuff, I know 100% there was one thing I wasn't going to miss, and that was the Terminator Dark Fate panel. You can watch that whole panel actually on the YouTube channel if you just search it up. I recorded it, and it was amazing because right when it started too, like James Cameron called in, since he couldn't be in San Diego. He called in from the set of Avatar 2, which is just all like ultimately amazing. Not to mention what happened at the conclusion of the panel, which you can see. But like ever since San Diego, July, the sneak trailer preview that we was able to get, then I have been overly excited. And then not to mention not just being a fan of the Terminator franchise, but Lyndon Hamilton coming back, like that's huge. That's huge. But Terminator Dark Fate. So I know there's tons of questions. So I never usually say this on reviews, but there's going to be spoilers here because there's a lot of things people have been asking and wanting some clarifications on, and it's kind of some things you really can't avoid without actually covering spoilers. So I'm just letting you know that right now. So spoilers from this point on in 3, 2, 1, let's go. So obviously this movie is brought to you by Fox, and we know how Fox is with their timelines. If you've seen any X-Men movies, you just know like they get really wonky with them. But this movie, okay, so you're wondering, there's a lot of things like how did we get to this point? What's happening in this movie? Like does it end off where Genesis left off? Okay, first of all, I like Genesis. I just want to say that. And I'm gonna make 3 comparisons to Genesis in this review. So in 1997, after the conclusion of Terminator, the first original Terminator, the whole idea was for Sarah Connor, obviously played and reprised by Linda Hamilton, is to prevent Judgment Day. Judgment Day is ultimately the rise of Skynet and the robots take over and so forth. She stopped it in 1997. She stopped it. She stopped Judgment Day from happening, which means she ultimately saved her son, which all the Terminators came back from the future to stop the leader of the resistance. So she did it. But so before I go any further, let me just say that this opening scene in this movie was absolutely nuts. It was nuts, and the de-aging process that they've done in it was to perfection. Like it was amazing. It was like mind blowing crazy. Like how like the effects and stuff for the visual was just crazy. Which I thought Genesis opening scene was amazing when they kind of did do like an updated version of T2, which I thought was like, wow, that's crazy. But this was just crazy. But ultimately, in 1998, a year after she prevented Judgment Day from happening, the same fate ended up happening, and a Terminator ended up, even with her being off the grid, ended up catching up to them and killing John Connor. And since then, her whole sworn duty is to kill Terminators. That's her whole life mission now, for the sake of her son. But this movie did not wait for the action. I mean, the action started immediately, and it absolutely just great sound and effects. It's just absolutely bananas. Like it just started right away. But the one thing this movie did, and I know I'm gonna say this a bunch of times, the nostalgia was on point. From the scenes, from the lines, etc. So many nods to the old movies. I'm telling you, if you're a fan of the Terminator franchise, you're going to see so many things done, said, and played out just like the other movies did. So I actually loved the fact that I was like, oh, that's an Easter egg. I know what that's from. I know where that's from. I hadn't heard that song before. This whole shot, this whole scene, how it was shot. I remember when they did that exact same thing. So it was crazy. But like the other thing is too, with so many action films and so forth, like you literally think you just see it all, especially in like a lot of these combat fighting scenes. But this movie still found ways to do some stuff that was just really, really, really new. And it was just really cool. Like from the car chasing scenes, the fighting, it was just really, really just they still find a way to still make certain things interesting and new instead of just being recycle old sequences and so forth. the new Terminator, the Rev 9, is amazing. If you haven't seen it, if you have no clue, if you haven't seen the trailers, if you have no clue, it's amazing. It's basically a model, a version of the T-800 and the Venom symbiote put together. And if you know what the symbiote is, it means that it needs a companion to attach to in order to thrive. But with this Terminator, it can do both. It can survive on both forms. So in theory, one Terminator can divide into two: the liquid symbiote form and then the exoskeleton form. But the way how it works is that it works on physical contact. It must touch something in order to copy, but then it kills the prey. So it's like a praying symbiote, unlike the other ones where it needs it to survive, like how Venom is. But I tell you what, too, that one scene in the trailer when Sarah Connor makes her her first entrance on the bridge, it was so fucking amazing, literally. And I wish they would have just saved that for the movie because it was so good. And when I seen it and knew how it was gonna play out, I was like, still like, yeah, but I would have popped way more harder if I had not have known exactly how that was gonna be. But the whole focus of this movie is to protect Dani Ramos. So Dani Ramos, who in theory is pretty much this new version of John Connor, who the Terminators were sent back to prevent him from being the leader of the resistance, where it looks like the Terminators are sent back to kill her, and she is either going to become the leader of resistance or mother the leader of the resistance. Who knows? But Natalia Reyes, who plays Dani Ramos, did a phenomenal job in this movie. What can I say about Linda Hamilton? She's badass. Sarah Connor was badass in this movie, 100%. Still, after all these years, her and the fact that she wanted to take this role, it just spoke volumes about how much like heart was in this movie, about them all wanting to come together to do so. I mean, you can't do Terminator without Arnold, but man, doubling down, bringing Linda back was just absolutely it was just amazing. So also too, Mackenzie Davis, who plays Grace, who's another so she's pretty much an augmented super soldier from the future who was tasked to come back to protect Dani Ramos. Like I said, played by Mackenzie Davis. Badass too. A lot of badasses in this movie. And to be honest, the scenes that they showed of her future in 2042, I would just take a whole movie of that, because it was just amazing seeing like the war that she came from, coming back into the present day. Honestly, to sign me up for a whole little short movie of that distant future in 2042, because I was feeling it from what they were showing. But yeah, she's an enhanced human super soldier, augmented super soldier from the future. So the Rev 9. So you're wondering if Judgment Day was prevented, Skynet never happened, where did the Rev 9 come from? Well, humans, they don't learn. They end up trying to do some more techie stuff, developing something called Legion. Legion ended up taking over. They end up developing these new Terminators. The Rev 9 is the model that was used to send back into the present day to kill Dani Ramos. But if in the future, in the 2042 scenes that they showed, you've seen a lot more of the crazy technology and styles of Terminators that they got. I don't even want to talk about that because it was just nuts what they were working with then. But yeah, so Dani Ramos, who everyone is protecting, is in more or less more ways more like John Connor, but also like Sarah Connor. And you know, when you see the movie, you get to see which one it plays out true to. But there's a lot of parallels to the two of them and their storylines from the other movies. So this is one scene. I'm looking at my notes real quick. This is one scene where I highlighted damn Terrence. I can't wait for y'all to see that. Y'all gonna laugh. Like this is one really just extra character in Terrence. Yeah, you'll see. And literally, I was like, damn, Terrence. Like, you just gotta laugh, but you felt bad about it too. This movie really did start off with some really hard and heavy CGI, but it did tone out throughout the movie. Like at first I was like, oh, this is gonna be one crazy ride, but it did tone out afterwards. And I did have questions about like this model of the Terminator, the Rev 9, which I'll talk about towards the very end. But look, let me tell you, Arnold Schwarzenegger, who reprises his role as the T-800, who, you know, since he carried out his mission in 1997, he's just stuck around. He kind of adapted. He became a family man. He actually got a new name. His name is Carl. He has a business. He has a family. And for 20-something years, he figured out how to be human. So, you know, he has a wife, and, you know, he saved his wife who was being abused by a guy and raised his son. And, you know, the question is like, well, does she not know who you are? Yeah, because their relationship ain't really based on traditional relationship stuff. He's just a good guy that's there to, you know, to protect the family and help raise the son. And it's not really a physical thing. And like he said, he's good at changing diapers, and she really appreciated that. And he's funny, as he says. But let me just say this, that this family man and Carl, and obviously, like I said, done by Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold Schwarzenegger is absolutely hilarious in this movie. I freaking love Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, Terminator is nothing without Arnold Schwarzenegger. Just like he said in the panel, you can't do Terminator without him. And he is Terminator, and he'll always be thankful for what Terminator has done for his career. I can never get tired of Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's such a good guy. Having spoken to him and really getting a really good glimpse of his appreciation for this franchise, for the better and for the worse, he really put his heart into this movie, and it's so freaking enjoyable. And he has so much fun in this role. I literally do not know. I mean, between him and Linda Hamilton, I don't know who had the better lines in this movie, because they were both going at it, which is, and then the two of them together and their chemistry, and considering the character's history with, you know, with Carl / the T-800 being the one who killed John, and Sarah being the mother of John, and her whole goal is to get revenge for John, and he's now not that man that he used to be. Now that he fulfilled his mission, and how their two paths have led to this point now. It's just so much between the two of them. But at the same time, like, they just up the antes on each of their lines and their dialogue between each other. You like truly appreciate like everything that like he stands for in this Terminator role, period. But like I said, Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's legendary in everything he's done, and his lines are legendary. And the fact that Arnold mocks himself in this movie is just amazing. It's just really, really good. And there's like I said, there's so many nods to the old movies, like over and over. The nostalgia is completely fulfilled here, like so much from the original. From the original theme to, like I said, how certain sequences are shot and played out, dialogue and so forth. I mean, you know, classic Arnold lines. There's so much in this movie that you just really, really, really appreciate it. The Rev 9 model here, the maneuvers that it has, is just so crazy. The sequences with that is just amazing. But the big thing is this: the final phase and act of this movie. The aerial action is amazing. It truly is. The final act is just completely nuts. You're gonna it takes you literally off the edge of your seat. Like the whole movie, you're on the edge of your seat, but the final act's like, yeah, you're done now. So just get up out of here. But yeah, right before I wrap this up, just for all my really hardcore Terminator fans, my question to you when you see it is that, what model do you like better between the T-900 from this movie and the T-3000? Excuse me, the Rev 9 from this movie, or the T-3000 from Genesis, who was the John Connor version from that movie? Like, which one of these two do you like better? Because there's some crazy questions that I have about this Rev 9 model, about its technology and its skill and the different things that it can do versus what the T-3000 was doing, could have done, and so forth. I really was just like, But at the same time, too, you know, when it comes to Terminator, you just have to go with Terminator logic. If you've seen these movies, you just have to go with logic. Because, yeah, sure, there was plenty of different ways to carry out this mission, to prevent the mission, and so forth. Like, there's just so, yeah, there's like things that when you start thinking too hard, you won't appreciate the movie. But if you like Terminator, just allow it to do what it does. Just let the Terminator logic go. Tim Miller, who directed this movie, I think he does an amazing job letting his stars be their stars. As we see in Deadpool, obviously, with Ryan Reynolds, he let Leonard Hamilton be a star, Arnold Schwarzenegger be a star, Mackenzie Davis be a star, and, you know, he sits there and he makes sure it just all comes together instead of, you know, where I see some directors take some people's strongest attributes out of the movie and out of their skill, and then put together a movie. Then the movie just falls flat. I will have to say that there is no after credits, and that's great because Genesis did try to do that, and also tried to say they was going 3 movies, and we see where that went. Well, this movie I think is doing it right by not doing it and just letting to see how this all plays out, see the reaction, the response, and how much money it made. But I think the movie's absolutely great, and I really hope you guys have a good time and go see it. But before we go today, this is one more thing we need to do really quick. Well, that's just too small, so that's not going to work. But as you can see right there, but you make sure you check out this movie this weekend. So for you guys, and you know how this used to go, for my next movie review, I'll be back.